Well, the anniversary of the Montreal massacre has once again shone the spotlight on the issue of violence against women and the issue of gun control in this country and whether enough's being done to curb gun violence. Heidi Rathjen was in a nearby study room at École Polytechnique when 14 women were gunned down in 1989. She went on to form the group Poly Remembers to fight for tighter gun controls, and she's with me now. Heidi Rathjen, first of all, good to see you again. Thanks for taking time to speak with me today. And let's start with, here we are at another anniversary of December 6th of 1989. What are your thoughts as you mark this day and what it represents?
Well, I think for us, one of the obvious things is the absurdity of this situation where the families of the victims, where survivors and witnesses like myself are still 32 years later fighting for tougher gun control. Following the tragedy, in the years following under the Liberal government at the time, under the Chrétien government, we did get strong gun control, and Canada had, reasonable basic controls on par with those in most civilized countries like the European Union. But most of that was destroyed under the Harper government. And unfortunately, even though the Liberal government that came in 2015 got elected on the basis of gun control promises and reelected in 2019, nothing substantial has changed on the ground, and gun-related homicide and crime has consistently gone up ever since the first weakening of the laws were passed under the Harper government.
Let's pick up on some of the things you've raised. Your group called for a new Minister of Public Safety to replace Bill Blair. That new minister is Marco Mendicino. What do you want to see from the new minister? What should his priorities be?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to really move quickly on banning assault weapons. This is a measure that was called for in 1989, in the days following the massacre at Polytechnique. We have a theoretical ban on most assault weapons, but because there hasn't been a mandatory buyback program, they're all still out there. And so, New Zealand did it in 6 months. They banned them and they bought them all back. And according to the Auditor General of the country, it was a success. I think Canada can do the same. And there's no more studies and consultations are needed. We need action now, and we need the government to table their buyback program as soon as possible. We don't know how long the minority government will last, and it would be a real shame if we go into another election with still this measure not implemented.
The minister is still reluctant to impose a national ban on handguns, instead pledging to give that power to ban handguns to provinces. What's wrong with that approach?
Well, first of all, not one province has asked for this measure. There was a motion in the National Assembly, the Quebec National Assembly, but that's not quite the same thing as the government asking for it. And so far, the government has given no indication that they're willing to ban handguns. And that's true for all the other provinces. So basically, offloading this responsibility on the provinces just means that we're starting at zero in 13 jurisdictions instead of continuing to push on the federal government to do what is their jurisdiction. And 7 out of 10 Canadians support a ban on handguns. And we know what happens with these patchwork of laws. All we have to do is look south of the border to see the disaster that results in. And so we're asking for a federal ban. And if we can't have a ban, there are things that the federal government should do as quickly as possible. For example, stem the proliferation, because right now the legal sale of handguns is growing exponentially. Half of the handguns, of the over 1 million handguns that are in private hands today, were sold only in the last 10 years. So that gives an idea of how quickly this market is expanding. And soon we're going to hit a point of no return. So we need to limit the damage to or the risk to what we have now, and see what we can do to reduce those numbers. and reverse the trends in terms of handgun violence. And I do have to say that also includes better border controls and crime control in the case of illegal guns.
All right. Heidi Rathjen, thanks again for your perspective this evening. Good to talk to you. Take care. And I know it's a difficult day, as always, this anniversary, but we appreciate you taking a few moments to speak with us.
Thanks for having me.